yes, I do. Because we already have school IDs, we don't really have a lot of use for them, so we might as well use them for that. And I think it's a good way to keep the safety going.
That's a controversial question, if you ask me. I have my opinion on this is half and half. I'd say it's a good idea for security reasons, but it's also quite a hassle. Say you forget your card at home, or say you lose your card. I think it's a good idea, but I don't think we should follow it right now.
I do believe students should use school IDs while entering school. I think it's important for security purposes, and it's overall a good idea to make sure everyone coming into school is a student here.
No, because I think it would be too time-consuming in the morning.
Yes, it will keep security much better, knowing who can come in and out of the school and not just random strangers. And I definitely think that it'd be much easier and more efficient for students to live on campus. Stop.
Sort of. I'm all for a swipey ID that can give you access to certain things. I don't know about entering into the building yet, but I'd love to see it for the library for certain things. It would make life easier. You know, taking the laptops
Printer,
or textbooks out kind of thing. So, sort of.
Wanting to improve your school security? Look no further than ID Creator, a company that specializes in student and faculty IDs. Wanting to order for your school but not sure if it's the right idea? Try our single program and order for just one grade. Call 1-855-MAKE-IDs for more info.
For teachers, definitely.
For teachers, yeah.
Because you should never have adults in the building
Mm-hmm.
who you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I'd say the same with students, but there are so many of them, it's a little bit
Yeah.
harder to monitor that.
That'd be hard.
But yeah, I think that everybody should have ID.
Yeah.
And you know, it's harder logistically with students because they tend to lose things and the
Yeah.
costs are higher, so that part's a bigger conversation.
Mhm.
But I definitely think teachers do, and it's a state and federal guideline. So there's the
Just like the little cards that
yeah, there's like the PC side of that, which is, and it allows us to be able to verify your.
Yeah.
It's actually for test taking.
Oh,
so
really?
when you
Oh.
go to all those exams and stuff,
Oh, okay,
usually they
that makes
require
sense,
school
yeah.
ID.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we've continued to give them to people.
Yeah, that
Some,
makes
most
sense.
students don't even pick them up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what
Like when I was cleaning out the closet, it's like half a grade each
Yeah.
box. I'm like, oh, it's not really. But that's really what they are used for, predominantly, especially for 9th and 10th graders who
Yeah.
don't have a permit or a license
yeah.
or anything like that.
Okay.
It's like their first picture
Their
form of
ID,
ID.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm using it.
I think in 9th and 10th grade you actually probably do use it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't- So right now it's largely because of the cost of loss and stuff like that and the logistics. And one practical reason so far, and again, it's not like it's a conversation that doesn't take place often, but right now people with open campus come in and out, so the door's pretty much held open all the time. But it has been a conversation in recent days. The cost for the cards is a lot more when it opens the doors.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot more. And then the student ones are, negligible cost because they don't have any sort of coding. Plus you have to turn them on or off if they get lost, and we would need to rely on students to report that. So right now we've been talking a little bit about what does that look like. I think it's the same as it would be anywhere. Just not knowing who's in and out of your building or what their purpose is in your building is never good. But, I think in some ways we already struggle because it's teenagers with the protocols we already have in place, getting them to only go out the one door and sign in and out of the building. Even that stuff's hard enough. So I think that we would run into the human factor no matter what we're doing. As for adults, ideally, and people tell us that they can't really roam around the building without getting caught, that doesn't happen. Like if I ever see an adult without the red pass or an ID, I stop them. I call security and then I stop them. But there's variables with the ID too. You can't just assume that because somebody has ID on that they're somebody you want in your building anyway either. That's one of those sticky wicket questions.
Yeah.
I think there's always ways to improve. And I tend to be, I don't know if Ms. Charles told you this, but I tend to be a little more on the pressing side of security. I'm hesitating to answer completely.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with is fine.
Like I know that we've changed certain things, like I have a bag over there, it's red and black, but that's, you know, in case we ever have to evacuate now, it has locations people need to go so we can actually take attendance, do those things. We ask teachers to keep their attendance with them now. A lot of those things have been newer changes. I do think there are additional things that we could do. I'm not going to speak too pointedly to them. But, you know, I also, my sister's an emergency trainer. Like she's a cop, and she goes to schools and does active shooter training, and so she's given me a lot of ideas of things that we could do. I'm kind of scared all the time.
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah, I think that you would have to assume that people are still going to hold the door for each other,
Yeah.
especially people you know. You know, there's people coming in behind you, you know them. I don't think the expectation could be that every student is swiping in the morning.
Yeah.
In and out later in the day. They have card swipes that you can put at front doors. You know how you guys write in the book?
Yeah.
It probably actually would be more time efficient than
Yeah,
that
than writing
because
it.
you swipe.
Yeah.
They're expensive, but it automatically goes in. And actually, if you don't have a free period and you're trying to leave the building,
It could, yeah.
it's like you're not
Yeah.
allowed to leave the building.
Okay.
So that's actually probably more time efficient. But the in and out in the morning, I think you have to just assume that it's going to be kind of like an open door. And I believe even at schools where faculty have to swipe in, that there's a period of time in the morning when students arrive where the doors are just unlocked.
Yeah.
As is the case here.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a place where things are going to be so pervasive. I do think that, and this is speaking candidly as somebody who's not from here, if you really want to get things in, you find a way. Which is a horrible way of looking at it, but I think that, and even in some of those places, I mean, some of the schools that have had stabbings have metal detectors.
Yeah.
So, you know, like there is if you're trying to keep out mass quantities of weapons, I think that's a really good decision. I think there are probably other things with people watching, reporting other students that are more effective for someplace like this,
Yeah.
as well as locked doors if it's for people who aren't here. It's a really good question. I think a lot of times that's the case for places, which is sad. But I do think that recently we have actually been making some of those changes already, which is good. And beginning this second half of the year, the plan is to have a school safety committee that some teachers already volunteered for, administrators are doing, and Mr. Zagarelli is going to be reaching out to get some students involved too. So we're at least starting these conversations or continuing them, but in a bigger scale. Whereas before it was kind of us just brainstorming and then trying to do stuff. Like those red and green cards everybody loves so much.
There we go.
I think that it's needed for teachers. I do not think it is needed for students. I mean, I think for teachers, you need to know who the adults are in your building. And if there's an adult in a school who doesn't have proper identification, you wonder, well, why are they here? I think for students, it's probably would be nice for them to have a student ID, like for the library, or just to get student discounts. But I don't think it should be tied to entry of the school because kids could easily lose them, and that would defeat any sort of security purpose of the ID. Well, I think that RYE, first of all, should install a video camera on the front door, and that the front door should always be locked, and the security guard should buzz the person in before they sign into the school. And I feel that way because one, almost every school has that system, and two, I've just done so much of my own research and also teaching on school shootings, and I think that if someone can just walk into your building, unfortunately, with a gun, they could easily take out that security guard and then proceed to go into classrooms. And I think if there was a camera, that would be a protective measure that we really should have in this day and age. Well, I think that, yes, the simple answer is that every other school I've ever been to has the front door locked and has a camera. And even when I went to Chappaqua, which is Dr. Byrne, our new superintendent's former school, they even had a system where there was a camera, you walked to the security desk, you handed them your driver's license, they swiped it, which would run a background check, and then they printed an ID for you with your picture on it. And I thought that was really impressive and probably something that we could implement here. The problem with RIE is always the budget. Unfortunately, the Board of Education decreased taxes, and during that time they didn't anticipate that the tax cap legislation would occur. So our budget is always limited to a greater degree than any other school in Westchester because of that poor decision making about 6 or 7 years ago. I would be totally shocked if we didn't at least change the front door situation. I'm personally opposed to having students swipe the IDs. One, because I think there's just too many loopholes, too many situations where the IDs could be lost. And two, because I think that creates a prison-like climate in a school. And as a teacher, I'm just sort of morally against that sort of regimented feeling in a school. The sign in, sign out sheets, all of that. That's just not something I ideologically agree with. I mean, I guess the best way to do that would be to start with 9th graders and pilot it and just see if they swipe in and out, just keeping track of that data, track how many of them lose the ID, before investing in the entire population of the high school. Because to me, if a 9th grader can't do it, it's highly questionable whether we should implement that system. I do, yes, because I think that it creates a mindset that a school is a prison. And I would say that there are better ways of creating security, such as modernizing the doors in our building, increasing security guard presence, raising security guard pay so that we get quality people. I always like to use human beings as solutions to problems as opposed to a machine, which I think is really just a Band-Aid. If someone wants to bring a weapon to school, a metal detector is really not going to stop them. They will find a way around it.